Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to ServiceNow 911. In the series of Meet the Expert, we have a special guest today. If you are working in ServiceNow or working on any project of ServiceNow, you must have seen this gentleman. He is providing n number of things, videos, blogs, expert advice, and many more. So, without any delay, please welcome the boat eye gentleman, Mr. Tomasi. Thank you so much for giving us time, and we are so excited to have you on board. Welcome to ServiceNow 911.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Yes, that's great. So, how are you doing today, Chuck?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm great, excited, and ready to have this special hour with you. Thank you so much once again. So, Chuck, my first question is how you see the transformation in the Chuck who joined ServiceNow in 2010 and the one which is sitting right now with me in Vancouver release
Well,
2023.
I think I finally figured out what I wanted to be when I grew up. I,
Oh,
my
great.
my my career has been a rather squiggly one with I'll be honest, not a whole lot of planning, but I followed my passion. And in 2010, ServiceNow had about 175 employees. So the growth has been phenomenal. I think the last number I heard was about 23,000. So just in that 13 years, it's been a wonderful ride. It's been great. Had to learn to adapt from a much smaller company to a larger one. I was at a fairly large company for 22 years prior to this. So,
Okay.
going through growth and working with a larger organization was not unknown to me, but I was able to ride that adaptation again. And in 2011 and 12 is when I started sharing on the community. I was learning things and I would post little blogs, and some of which are still out there and doing quite well. Very appreciative of that. In 2013 is when we started making videos. That's when the Tech Now web series was launched. And we just celebrated our 10-year anniversary earlier this year. Very happy about that.
Great.
2017 was another milestone. That's when I started doing this full time instead of doing it on the side. The evangelism and the sharing and the content creation as a secondary part of my job, it became the primary part of my job. Doing demos, doing videos, doing learning, content creation, and getting involved with the developer community more closely as a core part of my job. And now, as we look at 2023 and beyond, my focus is really on taking that experience and sharing it with the rest of the team, being that advocacy mentor, passing on what I know to Pranav Bhagat, Earl Duque, and Lauren McManaman, and really anybody else who cares to listen.
Great. And I must say the content which you provide is to the point, concise, and really very helpful. And when I started my career as ServiceNow developer, I have gone through your JavaScript series. I have gone through your podcast and the stuff which you are providing. It is really helpful and it helped me succeeded in my career as well. So again, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I'm glad you appreciate it. My only regret is that the company changes so fast and technology changes that I wish I had the time to redo it over. It's now the JavaScript series is over 4 years old, and obviously we've got things like ES 2021 and beyond to catch up, and those are not included. There are plans to add to that series, kind of put some amendments or addendums to it, but haven't had a chance to get to it yet. That's my only regret is things are so busy and so fast paced. It's hard to go back and maintain some of that original content. The integration series is another one that I'd love to go back. We've got new information on GraphQL that I would like to put out there as well.
All right. We do have certain questions with respect to technical aspect as well later in the session. Okay, so let's come back to the second question. We are seeing generative AI is everywhere, and ServiceNow is also looking forward and integrating with the companies. But I have something different question. With company perspective, it is good, but do the developers need to worry about their roles because it is started, but I don't know where it will go. So do we need to worry? It's a question not for me, but for all the other developers who are joining ServiceNow and working on it.
I don't see it that way. I don't see generative AI as a threat to developers. I should see it as an accelerator. Uh, when I started my tech career way back decades ago, think of it this way: there were only a few community forums where I could get the answers. Tech support was done directly from the companies. It was phone calls. You would only get return. It was very slow. It took a long time to get your work done. I mean, as a developer, if I ran into an issue or a bug or something, it was slow to get that. Now we have stronger communities, faster communications, better online resources, and this is only going to accelerate with generative AI. Think of it as that next level of support for the developer. Get your answers quicker. I saw some of the capabilities in our Vancouver release, just looking at text to code. Now, I've been coding for over 40 years. I like coding.
Right.
I don't like spending a lot of time going to Stack Overflow or something looking for how do I do something. If I can ask a generative AI to give me a leg up on that, instead of spending an afternoon saying, how do I get the width of the end user's browser? Are they mobile? Are they tablet? Are they desktop? Are they ultra wide? What and store that information. I saw one of our solution consultants went into a client script // give me the width of the user's agent and do something with it. Boom. There was about 8 lines of code. That would have taken me a long time to get. Like, what a time saver. So it removes some of that, what I'm going to call grunt work, the low level stuff. When you design an application on ServiceNow, you're not worried about down deep SQL queries and CSS and HTML layout. It's like, just get me a field, put it on the table, much like that. So you get away from some of that basic stuff. And now, as you scale it out to text to code, text to flow, we're looking at doing text to app, where somebody can describe what they want out of an application in App Engine, and it just frames it up for them. That's a whole lot faster. I don't want to spend time doing that front end stuff to get to my goal. If it can help me get there quicker, I'm all for it. And again, this is the old man talking, who's usually resistant to some changes. It also solves those problems that developers wouldn't even be able to tackle. So you think about the VP of customer service talking with a customer. You've been working on a case. I'm thinking about case summarization, right? You've got all these details and the activity history is on this case, and the VP of customer service says, what's happening here? I've got a call with this customer in 30 minutes. They're not going to sit down and go through the last 10 cases that this customer opened. You want that the case summarization right at their fingertips. So hallelujah. Where was this when I was the service desk manager 10, 15 years ago?
Right. So we can say that generative AI is a kind of friend, which is eliminating all kind of, unnecessary stuff and giving me the thing which I want. And with some tweaks, it will be very helpful for us.
It's like having your own personal admin assistant, if you want to think about it that way. You go do the hard work. I'll focus on the important work.
So now let's go to the third question, Chuck. So what is the role of JavaScript in learning ServiceNow? So we have seen from Aspen, right? But this is Vancouver. So how you evaluate the contribution of JavaScript when somebody is looking to learn ServiceNow now?
So great question. I'm going to answer this in 2 parts, because the first part is whenever we introduce some new technology, it's a little more techy. I remember when UI Builder came out, we were editing a lot of fields as JSON. If you go way back, we didn't have like condition builder built into notifications, a condition builder built into business rules, for that matter. A lot of things were scripted, and we observe what the customer patterns are for how they're solving problems, and then we can build low or no code capabilities onto that. So that brings up the second piece, that we didn't take the coding capabilities away. Again, I'm going to default to one of our favorite examples, business rules. Okay. You can still check that advanced button and write a script in there if you need more advanced capabilities, because a simple condition and set fields isn't doing it for me. I need to go look up
Okay.
additional records. At that point, I'd go, maybe I should be using Flow Designer. But the scripting capabilities are already there.
The time when we have learned JavaScript and the
Mhm.
time right now. So how much extra we need to learn in JavaScript? That is also a kind of, follow-up question for that.
Yeah, if you're a traditional full stack developer, you've been doing web development on other platforms, there's going to be a bit of a learning curve to learn the scripting APIs. Okay, we all had to learn GS dot, you know, add info
Right,
message to put a message at
right.
the top of the screen. There's those classes and methods that we needed to get familiar with. You don't do a SQL query, you do a glide record or a glide record secure or glide query, to interact with the database. So it's a very powerful tool. Do you need it to get started as a ServiceNow developer? No. Is it a
Okay,
way to level up your game? Yes, because now you can take on more complex solutions that somebody without those coding capabilities. Recognizing that anytime you write code, it's not just about getting to the solution, it's thinking about how that solution will be maintained and updated and supported in the future. That's where the big cost, that's where the big risk, that's where the big technical debt may come from. If you're
okay,
wise and you architect it properly, you can get away from a lot of that stuff. Like, let's use a property, a system property, rather than some magic sys that's hard coded into my script in a script include that nobody understands. You could do this possibly in a flow and eliminate the script entirely. I did that about a year ago, taking about 600 lines of script include code and crushing it down to a flow, a subflow, and a decision table. My future
okay.
self is going to thank me for that one.
Yeah, that's right. Fair enough. So next question is, I see your designation is Senior Developer Advocate.
Mhm.
It looks very fancy, and we are seeing you everywhere in ServiceNow. You are a tech expert, and you are representing ServiceNow in knowledge as well. So, can you just brief about the roles and responsibility of a Senior Developer Advocate, which you are?
Yes, I, as well as Lauren McManaman, Pranav Bhagat, and Earl Duque, are also senior developer advocates. And I like to think of this as like the middleware, if you want to be technical,
Okay,
between our customers and partners, the developers out there, the practitioners in the field, ones that are using the platform and implementing solutions, and our product teams, the ones that are internal building these solutions. I just got an invite yesterday to look at a developer tool set that we may be releasing at some point in the future. They said, we'd like your input on this. So I can work between that, giving our MVPs, for example, a live session with our product teams to say, here's what we like, here's where we suggest you go, give them
okay,
that live feedback. So another a common industry term is developer relations. That's sort of the department that we're in. That's what we do. So
okay,
advocates are part of developer relations. We want to cultivate that community by creating content and getting out there, whether it's our Tech Now webinars or our live streams, videos, blogs, all of that good stuff for the content. And then, of course, we drive that community with events like you mentioned, Knowledge, our CreatorCon event within Knowledge, our local chapter meetups. We've got developer meetups that happen around the world. We've got an MVP program for
right.
those very valuable people that have contributed back to the community, whether it's through the online community itself, uh, videos and whatnot, such as you've got, all contribute to that option of being the MVPs. So really, content and community are the two main pillars of that.
Okay, great. And you are doing a wonderful job in that road.
Thank you.
That's we can say. Okay, so Chuck, next technical question. You see, ServiceNow has a number of products, right? And
Yeah.
according to you, based on your experience till now, which product is having huge potential, but it is not being used by the customer to its fullest potential? Are you getting my point?
Yeah. And I had to think hard about this one because I'm not familiar with everything on the platform. My specialty is the core platform capabilities, uh, App Engine, and Automation Engine. But there's still so many other products like employee service management, customer service management, field service management, finance. There's all of these other capabilities and scopes, if you will, not to use the technical term, but you get my meaning. Within my sphere or my realm, I'd have to say like service operations workspace. I've only heard about it, but I haven't had the bandwidth to explore that. I would love to look more into that. I've heard some discussions popping up. Looks like people are looking at it, and it's got huge potential. Second one that comes up is our mobile capabilities. I don't think there's quite enough
Okay, right.
focus on going mobile. We've got the mobile app builder. You can build cards. We use it internally quite extensively. I pull up my phone and start the chat bot, raise a ticket, whatever it is that we need to do for ServiceNow IT or other departments. I can use mobile. My third one is one that I absolutely love. It's been an unsung hero in the past, but got some formality put to it, is decision tables and the decision builder.
Okay,
Way to abstract the logic that goes into, one of my favorite classic examples would be like airline points. Are you silver, gold, diamond, platinum? What is your rank based on points and money spent?
right.
Those decisions can be changed. Those criteria for miles and dollars and whatever else you put in can be changed outside of the flow. And then you
Okay,
abstract that and say, okay, department in charge of customer service and loyalty, you are now in charge of maintaining this decision table, and the developer is eliminated because we all know requirements change as the business grows and morphs. They have to. And they may say, oh, it's no longer 25,000 points to get to silver level. It's 50,000. Well, as a developer, I don't want to slow down the business, and I don't really want the burden of just going in and make data changes. It's like you go do that. We've had lookup tables for a while. It's been how we've done assignment rules and priority lookups and whatnot. Decision tables takes it that next level and makes it so much easier to delegate that responsibility, to abstract that. So one of my favorite features that requires absolutely no code. That's the best
right,
part.
right. So this question is dedicated to all the business owners, so they can look into these points and they can, use some fantastic features from ServiceNow and build
Yeah,
their product, more robust. Okay, so now one question with respect to ServiceNow releases. I see ServiceNow is releasing new releases every year.
right.
So one first question is why ServiceNow is in so much of hurry, and the second thing is from where ServiceNow getting all such inputs to come up with such releases. So these two questions I have with respect to release.
Sure. Make sure I don't forget that second one because
Sure,
as I talk, I might forget it. But
sure.
if two releases seems frequent, you should have started when I started when it was three.
Oh,
It
is
used
it?
to be 3 times a year.
Oh,
It really
okay.
comes down to a balance. It's a balance of what is too frequent and what is, not frequent enough. If we were to say do one release a year, okay, that would mean there's a long time to wait before you get to recognize some of these features. I'm not including, the family store release, the store releases that come out twice a quarter or about once a quarter, 4 times a year. So you
Okay,
can update your app engine, whatever. A lot of these things are moving to the store so we can do those more frequent, much like the apps on your phone. You don't wait for iOS whatever release to come out to update, your TikTok app. It's a separate thing. So we've got a separate store and we're moving a lot of these capabilities there. But the core platform, the core applications, a lot of
right,
the what we call the family releases are twice a year. We feel that gives us enough frequency to keep the customers abreast, to stay ahead of the competition, to keep innovating at a frequency that's manageable. Somebody with much more money than gets paid much more money than me has been asked to make that decision. We've been on that cadence since about 2018. It was somewhat variable between about 2012 and 2018. So for the last 5 or 6 years, we've been twice a year, and that seems to be the sweet spot for what we can keep up with. if it's too frequent, obviously 3 times a year or 4 times a year, if we were updating the platform itself and required you to go in and hit the upgrade button on the platform and do all your instances, we wouldn't be able to keep the customers up to date as well. So we've instituted a few years ago an N-1 policy where we only support what would now be, well, let's say this podcast is coming out in late December 2023. We would have Vancouver is now supported and Utah as we do the alphabet backwards. So Tokyo, which was released a year ago, is now rolling off of support. Customers can still use it, but if they say, hey, I've got an issue, and the answer is, it's fixed in Utah or Vancouver, then you've got to keep up to date. Otherwise, it would be a support nightmare. Somebody go, yes, I'm running on Geneva. Like, Geneva? That was 2016. What are you? I can't, we can't support it if it gets too long. So the amount of releases is coupled in with what I said before, too frequent or not frequent enough to keep innovation going, yet the customer's manageable, and our support that has to figure out where does it make sense to do N-1.
Okay. To
And the second question.
Yeah.
The second question, remind me what that was. See, I told you I'd forget it if I started talking.
Yeah, let me rephrase. Okay, yeah. So how ServiceNow is getting inputs, like we have to do this thing in the release. So is it the intuition of ServiceNow or the technology change, or you are interacting with customers as well? So just some light on that.
Yes, yes, and yes. Okay, so we've got people that are paid to think and read industry magazines and whatnot. There's an innovation office led by Dave Wright. That's his job, is to look at what is the industry doing, where is it going. For the last 5-6 years, artificial intelligence, machine learning has been a huge thing. We've invested in it. We know it's coming. So when we got to like generative AI, this was not, oh, look, ChatGPT is cool. Let's put it on our platform and see what happens. There was a well laid out strategy, a well thought out process to do this. So the innovation office is one of them. Our product managers are another one. They are listening to the customers. We've got customer feedback through our support site. We're now even instituting, I've seen in Vancouver, a few places where there's a link or a button on many of these modals that pop up and say, leave us feedback. You can now leave direct customer feedback right from the app. You don't even have to go to the support site. You can just be tooling around doing your day job and go, hey, it would be nice? Click, let's leave some feedback. So there is direct customer feedback. And then there's also strategic customer support teams or customer success teams that go out and talk to our mainly the larger accounts, because they're the ones who have more challenging requirements, shall we say, around development, around support, around how do I manage this across the globe? Lots of those things, regardless of what software they're using or which business unit it falls into internally. We want to have those discussions and go, hey, large partner or vendor or both, what are you doing? How are you using it? Let's see how we can make it better. The whole workspace technology was founded on those customer interactions. We literally went to some of these customers and watched the call center agents and went, wow, that's a lot of screen flipping. That's a lot of browser tabs. How can we make that better? And then, a year or so later, we started coming out with the workspace technology.
Okay. So we can say that what we are doing to implement the upgrade, ServiceNow is doing much more than that to build the upgrade. So I'm
Yes,
happy.
in fact, upgrades is a great example. We talked about the frequency and customers saying, wow, it's hard to upgrade every 6 months when it takes us 3 months to upgrade. How can we make that better? And we talked to those customers and we came up with things like upgrade plans. We came up with things like ATF, automated test framework, and instance scan. A lot of these things shorten that cycle, so you've got the confidence that how did the system work and behave before your upgrade? Let's do the upgrade in our subprods, run these tests and scans again, make sure everything worked, and now you can go forward a lot faster.
Well, my next question is about your memorable moments in ServiceNow. I'm sure there will be many But anything in these 15 years, which you can share with us?
So my first memorable moment was actually before I was a customer, before I was an employee. Uh, I
Okay.
was migrating. I was brought in for a real quick project to migrate from a legacy service desk. We had gone through a number of acquisitions
Okay.
and had multiple ticketing systems in our organization, none of which talked to each other. We had outsourced our help desk, which was a fiasco. We were 4 years into that contract, and the CIO said, "We're getting out of here. Who wants to rebuild an internal global service desk?" And I said, "I do." And everybody looked at me
Okay.
like I was crazy. They said, "Who
Okay.
wants to be a help desk manager?" I said, "This is a golden opportunity. This is big." So we did some vendor selection and we settled on ServiceNow. Long story short, uh, I was migrating all of those legacy tickets from the old system, and our service manager gave us a spreadsheet of here's your open incidents, import away. And I was working on the import set and transform map, and I was having some issues. I think it was Christmas Eve or Christmas Day because my go live was a couple of weeks away. And
Okay.
I had my technical consultant from ServiceNow in this is a different time. This shows you how small the company was. He was on
Right. Right.
a Google chat.
Okay.
And I reached out to him and I
Great.
said, "Hey, I'm having this problem." He jumped on the chat and walked me through it and fixed it. And I remember he said in the chat, "What are you doing working on Christmas Day?" And I
Mhm.
said, "I've got a go live coming up in a couple of weeks. What are you doing working on Christmas Day?" But I never forgot that level of customer service, that giving that he was able to produce. I try to do that. Obviously, I'm not going to give up every Christmas day for for a
Right.
customer
Right.
interaction. But if there's something that I'm tied close to, that I'm invested in, I will do all I can to give back to the community like that, to make sure that everybody is successful. Second memory, real quick, is from
Yeah. Sure.
my first Knowledge 10, and I was there as a customer, and I had won the first App of the Year award. They called it the Innovation of the Year award at the time. It was the
Great.
forerunner of today's the Devies Awards that we run now. So it hangs proudly on my wall behind me. If anybody's watching the video, it
Right.
signed by Fred Luddy. So very proud moment. It changed my career trajectory because a few days after I'd come back from Knowledge 10, that company of 22 years had let me go for reasons unknown. And frankly, I don't care because I started with ServiceNow shortly after. Um, and there have been so many great memories. They take over the rest of your hour. Just
Right. Right.
uh, uh, it's really the ones that I cherish the most today are the interactions with people, like doing this podcast or going to Knowledge and getting FaceTime and interacting with our customers, with our partners, with the people that are like-minded. Anytime you get together with like-minded people, whether it's over technology or religion or God forbid politics, that some
Right.
magic happens, and that's what I love best about our community.
Right. Really, such inspiring moments you shared, and we are really thankful for all such moments which we get with the
Pleasure.
interaction and all. And
My
one thing I would like to share with the people who are listening to this video, in the demo instance, if you go to the user table, I noticed that mostly the users are previous ServiceNow employees only. So Fred Ludy and all these are mentioned
Yep.
there in the user table. So when I researched about ServiceNow, then I got to know, okay, he is the founder and he is there as a user. So this is
Right.
one of the good thing to connect to the people. This is also a kind of great strategy which they have used.
A number of people are real. A number of them are not.
Yeah,
Rob Phillips, Kristen Mitchell, Fred Luddy, Don Goodliff, Bo Ruggieri, David Luth. Those are all real people. A number
right,
of people are real, but no longer with us. Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson. Those are American political figures. Some
right,
are just made up. Aileen Motourne, Alejandro Mescal. Those are made up names. I am working on a plan. I'm told. Here's here's
yeah,
here's a first reveal for you and your exclusive to you and your listeners.
yeah,
Um, I should be in the demo data in Washington. in the next
Oh,
release.
congratulations. That's great
I
news.
don't have to create a record on every instance, and my SysID will be consistent.
Right. That's amazing news. Everyone should be very happy to see you in the demo data.
I'll be immortalized in the sysuser demo data.
Right. Great. So let's jump to the next question, Jack. And this will be a final question basically. What are your suggestions to the people who are new to ServiceNow and they want to join ServiceNow? How they can start preparation?
Yeah, absolutely. My first suggestion is get started. Just do something. Find a process. I often look in my personal life. What am I doing that's repetitious? What am I doing that's collaborative? What am I doing that has a process? And once you see it, it's hard to unsee it. And start digitizing that. Make yourself a portal. Make yourself start with the table, of course. There's a place to store the data. Is there a workflow around it? Do I need to send notifications? There are so many things like this, and it doesn't have to be monumental and game changing. You could use it for 30 days to plan your next family picnic or whatever it is. Just a way for you to get invested. Uh, I come from a full stack background, and I've done several projects that are implementations or re-implementations of something that I did years ago in Perl or PHP. I'm giving away my age at this point. I was always amazed at how quickly and easy it was in ServiceNow. Yeah, there were a few learning curves, like I mentioned earlier, the JavaScript, the APIs, but that's going to be a sunk cost in any platform. So don't
Right.
let that be your blocker. If somebody said, "Hey, Chuck, I want you to do this in Ruby tomorrow," like, okay, I've got that programming logic. I know the difference between a while and a for and a do while, and do those even exist in Ruby? I'll figure it out. That's not the problem. The difference between ServiceNow to a full stack implementation is very impressive. And I know I've talked to a number of these people in the past that said, "Oh, but I'm a bare metal guy. I don't want to give up that control."
Right.
My answer to that is fine. You waste your time on setting up, Java injection, crap and configuring INI files. You do that while I'm off getting a build of a table and a flow in a 30-minute meeting with somebody, and they go, "Really? Can I have this in production now?" If you haven't built things before, like I said, look in your personal life, groups that you're involved with, things that you lead, upcoming events. There's always something that you can ask yourself, could this be done better with an app? Simply, you may even start with a spreadsheet, and I'm not opposed to that. Spreadsheets make a very good proving ground. What do I need to track? How is it going? I've got one right now that I want to convert from a Google spreadsheet that I'm collaborating with somebody, put it in an instance around budgeting for a private project we've got. Are we ahead? Are we behind? Yes, it could be done with those types of things, but I mean, it could be done in a spreadsheet, but could it be done better if I had an app and could add in some reporting, could add in some notifications, could add in all these things that you get from the platform natively? And my second tip is, once you've started, you're going to obviously have questions. Get involved with that community. As you learn,
Right.
start exploring servicenow.com/community. There's over 500,000 people on that platform now. That's an
Right.
impressive number. There are thousands that are looking to help. Some have extremely long credits of what they've answered. People find it's
Helping
helpful.
people.
There are some star players out there that will jump on it fairly quickly. And as you go and as you learn, start contributing back. You may learn more than you think. Or as you spot something, go, "Hey, that person's asking this question about glide query. I just started exploring and I can answer that question." You give back, and now you're elevating your own personal status, your own personal brand. You literally increase your career opportunities by giving back to the community. So get started, join the community. Those are my 2 tips for newbies.
Get started is the very first thing which we have to do. We should not see the complexities. Once you start, you will understand the process and eventually you will learn that also. But for the very basic, just get started and get involved. So I guess, Chuck, these all are the questions I have. And really, the session is wonderful. I have learned a lot, and obviously, the people who are going to listen to this video, they are also going to learn a lot. And you have shared wonderful information with us. The one with demo data is also a great one. It's a surprise for the people. And before we leave, any last, any concluding words to the people?
First, thank you very much for having me on this podcast. I appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
I'd be remiss if I didn't plug our own. If you're not already listening to Breakpoint, the ServiceNow Developer Podcast, please have a listen. There's technical information. We speak with product managers. We speak with community members, many of our MVPs, about their career journeys. There's lessons to be learned in there. And we also have non-technical skills that we can share. I often talk to some of my colleagues about presentation skills or interacting with executives, those soft skills that everyone, whether you're a developer or not, would find useful. Lauren McManaman and I just had an episode on a book review called The Art of
Okay.
Gathering. And it wasn't technically focused, but it made me rethink, how do I organize meetings? How do I organize get-togethers, whether they're personal or professional? So a lot of great information in the Breakpoint podcast. And of
Okay.
course, our YouTube channel. You can find everything at developer.servicenow.com.
Great. So once again, Chuck, thank you so much for joining us today, and all the very best for all your future endeavors. Thank you so much once again.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.